At midnight, the world pauses for a number to change. Crowds gather, glasses rise, fireworks tear the sky open, but somewhere, in a quiet room, a light is turned off and someone goes to sleep. No countdown, no celebration, no resolution whispered into the dark, and the question lingers. How can one of the biggest global events feel like nothing at all to some people? Today we explore the psychology of those who experience New Year's Day as just another page in the calendar. Not because they're broken, not because they're cold, but because their relationship with time, emotion, and meaning is different. Every culture honors time. We celebrate birthdays, milestones, anniversaries, sacred dates. But New Year is unique. It doesn't honor an achievement or a memory. It celebrates a concept, time itself moving forward. And not every mind attaches emotion to numbers. Some people don't celebrate loudly. They don't attend parties. They don't wait for midnight. They don't post reflections or promises. But silence does not mean absence. These individuals celebrate in ways that protect their nervous system. Their ideal New Year looks like comfort, familiar routines, a favourite movie, a game they've already mastered, a warm meal eaten slowly. Psychologically, they value emotional balance over emotional intensity. They don't seek stimulation, they manage energy. They understand something rarely taught. Joy doesn't need to be dramatic to be real. For them, celebration isn't about resetting life every January. It's about continuity, preserving calm, holding on to stability in a world that constantly pushes for louder happiness, bigger goals, and visible transformation. While others chase a moment, they protect a state of peace. Then there are people who don't ignore New Year. They simply don't register it. Days blur, weeks collapse, months feel identical. Work demands, financial pressure, mental overload. Life becomes about function, not reflection. Psychologically, when the brain is overwhelmed, symbolic thinking shuts down. Time becomes a tool, not a story. New Year requires pause. Pause requires space. And these minds don't have that space. They aren't ungrateful. They aren't numb. They're exhausted. When midnight passes, nothing changes because their brain has been in crisis management all year. The calendar flipping doesn't signal renewal, it signals another early morning. To them, survival already took all the energy celebration would require. And then there are those who experience New Year as a normal day, not by choice, but by necessity. The invisible ones, no invitations, no messages, no place to go when the clock approaches 12. For them, New Year's Eve isn't festive, it's exposing. A mirror held up by social media, fireworks heard from a distance, laughter echoing through walls they aren't behind. Psychologically, avoidance becomes protection. Treating the night like any other reduces the pain of comparison. It's not indifference, it's self-preservation. They are not emotionless. They are careful. And in choosing normalcy, they choose safety. This is the first truth about New Year's psychology. Not everyone experiences time the same way, and not everyone needs a loud beginning to continue forward. Sometimes, the quietest nights reveal the deepest human strategies for coping, surviving, and staying whole. Psychologically, New Year is one of the most comparison-heavy moments of the year. People are not only aware of their own situation, they're aware of how it looks compared to others. Who is surrounded? Who is invited? Who belongs somewhere when the clock strikes 12. For those who are alone, this contrast doesn't scream. It hums. A low, persistent awareness that something expected is missing. That awareness can hurt more than loneliness itself. So some people step back. They lower their emotional investment in the night. They describe it as just another day, not because it truly is, but because redefining it reduces the pressure. When meaning is stripped away, expectations loosen. When expectations loosen, the emotional impact softens. This is not avoidance, it is psychological self-defense. They may stay inside, go to bed earlier than usual, re-watch something familiar, scroll quietly without reacting. Engagement would require acknowledgement, and acknowledgement would require confronting what isn't there. At a deeper level, many of these people are not rejecting celebration. They are protecting themselves from the disappointment of hoping for something that might not arrive. Outside, fireworks break the sky open. Inside, there is a different stillness. Not empty, not peaceful, weighted. A silence filled with thoughts that don't need words. There is another group for whom the night feels difficult for a different reason. For them, the year didn't end, it lingered. Some years don't close gently. They leave behind damage, a job that disappeared, a sense of safety that cracked, a relationship that ended without resolution, or a quieter loss. The version of yourself you trusted, the future you assumed would come. When a year has carried pain, celebrating its conclusion can feel misplaced. Psychologically, celebration assumes that the past can be reframed, that it can be labelled as growth, learning, or completion. But not all experiences are ready for that framing. Some are still raw, some are still unresolved. Healing does not operate on a schedule. Grief doesn't respond to dates. Shock doesn't dissolve because a number changes. Understanding arrives when it's ready, not when it's invited. For these people, ignoring New Year isn't negativity, it's honesty. They don't pretend the pain has meaning yet. They don't force optimism. They don't borrow hope from a moment that hasn't earned it. They continue forward quietly, not rejecting the future, but approaching it carefully without pressure. Sometimes survival is not loud. Sometimes strength looks like waking up the next morning and continuing without recognition. There is also a personality difference, often misunderstood on nights like this. Introversion is frequently mistaken for detachment, for lack of interest, for emotional distance. Psychologically, it is none of those things. Introversion is about stimulation, about how the nervous system processes sound, movement, emotion, and social demand. New Year's Eve concentrates all of these into one experience. Crowded spaces, loud environments, forced enthusiasm, emotional performance layered with expectation. For an introverted system, this is not energizing, it is draining. Introverted individuals often don't need a symbolic moment to reflect. Reflection is already happening internally, continuously. They process their experiences deeply, privately, without needing to announce conclusions or intentions. Public celebration can feel unnecessary, sometimes even artificial, so they remain aligned with their internal state. Their inner world does not reset dramatically at midnight. Their thoughts don't suddenly reorganize. Their identity doesn't shift on cue. They may still recognize the moment, but inwardly. A quiet realization, a note written privately, a brief pause no one else witnesses. While others seek transformation through noise, introverts experience growth through clarity. Their evolution is subtle, internal, and rarely visible. None of these responses are wrong. This brings the question back, not loudly, but gently. Where did you find yourself? Were you the one who protected calm instead of chasing stimulation? The one whose days blurred together under responsibility and mental load? The one who stayed home because solitude felt safer than being reminded of what was missing? The one who observed from a distance, not detached but aware? Or the one still carrying wounds that time has not yet finished touching? None of these need correction. Understanding learning begins with recognition, not judgment. Now take a wider view. On one side of the night, crowds gather. Voices merge into a shared countdown. Glasses lift. For many, this ritual offers reassurance, a sense of belonging, proof that time moves forward together. On the other side, there are quiet spaces, lamps left on, familiar routines, clocks that pass midnight without ceremony. These realities exist simultaneously. The people who celebrate are not shallow. They are responding to hope, ritual, and collective meaning. For some, celebration is grounding. For others, it's energizing. Sometimes joy is a resource people genuinely need, but for those who treat New Year like an ordinary night, the meaning is different. It is not emptiness. It is not bitterness, and it is not emotional failure. It is a different relationship with time. They do not believe renewal arrives automatically. They do not trust symbolic resets that demand emotion without effort. They do not assign meaning to calendars alone, and this can feel uncomfortable to observe because it challenges the idea that everyone should feel the same thing at the same moment. But life does not move evenly. Some people end the year healed, others end it still carrying weight. Some have achievements to celebrate, others are still recovering from what the year removed. So when joy is expected on command, choosing emotional neutrality can be an act of integrity. Honesty, psychologically, is often mistaken for coldness. But look more closely. Those who don't celebrate loudly are often changing quietly. They are adjusting habits, rebuilding foundations, processing experiences without broadcasting them. They don't announce growth. They don't dramatize reflection. They don't perform hope. They live it slowly, inconsistently, privately. Fireworks disappear in minutes. Habits remain. And here is the quiet contradiction most people miss. Sometimes the healthiest response to a moment labeled special is to treat it as ordinary, because continuing forward does not require permission. So maybe the real question isn't whether you celebrate New Year or ignore it. Maybe it's this: do you need external noise to feel alive? Or do you trust the quiet enough to let growth happen without witnesses? Because somewhere between the fireworks and the silence is where most human lives actually unfold.